Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. So, welcome to 4D Sports Talk here at 1320 AM. WARA, as you can see, it's just us two, Catherine Conley, aka KC, with Joe Celia with me today.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, so we're doing a freeform Saturday talking about football highlights and all that shenanigans. So, if you want to call in, 508-222-1320. That is 508-222-1320. So you just want to fire up the music? Or
Before we get into it, so first can we just talk about like how beautiful of a day is outside?
Yeah.
I mean, like, so think it's November the 5th and it's literally 75 degrees outside. You know, I was driving here and just seeing the beautiful weather. I'm like, I cannot believe how warm it is outside.
Yeah,
so
me neither.
A couple of these football teams that we'll be getting into, they're probably going to be enjoying this nice weather today, especially taking it full advantage of it, because sometimes in the bitter cold, I know it's tough for these football players.
Yeah, my mom and I, we were discussing, like, well, when she was dropping me off here, like, if we could pick, like, any season, like either summer or fall or winter or spring, like, we would rather have this kind of weather that we have right now.
Absolutely. The
like
75.
Yeah.
And I feel like all athletes would prefer it to be like this nice, cozy, not too hot, not too cold weather.
Yeah.
So, as Catherine said, we'll be discussing high school football playoffs for Massachusetts high school. We're going to be going over divisions 1 through 8 in each division. We'll go over who they faced last night and who the winners of last night, who will they be facing the next round. Some of these games will be next week. Some might be the week after. It all depends exactly what it comes down to with the scheduling. Before we get into that, also, our friend Catherine actually was competing in the
Special
in
Olympics,
the Special Olympics
flag football.
In the flag football. So, how long have you been doing these?
Special Olympics, like for most of my life.
Was it always flag football?
I did soccer and all that, and I did. Excuse me, I'm still getting over a cold. And I still do basketball.
Oh, nice. Did you which one would you say has been like your favorite that you've done?
It's hard to choose between the two.
You're the star of the show for all of them, I bet.
Yeah, exactly.
We gave you a couple shout-outs on like previous shows that you weren't here while you were doing those.
Oh yeah, I saw parts of that.
Yeah. We wanted to wish our good friend the best of luck. So yeah, it's been a fun past couple of weeks. So as for the football, what we'll be covering for today. So we have divisions 1 through 8. 8 divisions in football in Massachusetts high school, all throughout Massachusetts. Hard to believe there's 8 divisions. So, Catherine, if you have any scores you wanted to go over, and I have a couple as well. I'm sure we might have a mix-up, but we'll make the best of it.
Yeah, so I actually have one score from last night.
Oh, nice.
From the North Attleboro beat Oliver Ames with like a big shutout, 56-0.
Oh my goodness! I know. I think I saw that score actually.
Yeah, with Greg Berthwain. Berthwain. I apologize if I mispronounced it. And Nathan Schultz. They each rushed for 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
Yeah.
Each rushed for 3.
Yeah.
So that's 36 points just for them right there, as long as they made the extra points.
Yeah.
But did you get the music all set up ready for the scores? Because I could start with Division 1. We want to make it super official for our listeners. Want to make sure that we hear all the scoring and hear all of what went on last night. So last night being November the 5th, we had Division 1 football. We had Weymouth High School, who had a record of 4-4, take on the number 1 seed Franklin, who are 5-2. Franklin, as expected, they ousted them 36-6. Big defeat. We saw a lot of blowouts last night. The 15 seed Lynn Classical lost to the 2nd seed Andover. Andover had an 8-0 record, while Lynn Classical was 5-2. They lost to Andover 42-6. Our next game, we had the 4-4 Braintree, who were the 14 seed, they were at Central Catholic, who are 6-2, and they beat them 46-14. So 3 blowouts already, and there are more coming.
Oh yeah.
Up next, we had the 13 seed Shrewsbury, who were 4-4, faced the 7-1 Springfield Central, who were the 4 seed, and Springfield defeated Shrewsbury 60-14.
Oh wow.
Up after that, we had the 6-2 Wachusett, who were the 12 seed, faced the 6-2 Severian Brothers High School, who were the 5 seed. Severian defeated Wachusett 45-29. The 6 seed Taunton Tigers faced the 11 seed Everett. Taunton was 5-3, while Everett was 7-1. Everett pulled off actually the first upset of the Massachusetts high school football tournament, beating Taunton 33-14. We'll get into that game a little bit later. The details on what went on in that game. Up next, we had the 4-4 Attleboro, who were the 10 seed, face the 6-2 7 seed St. John's Prep. St. John's Prep defeated Attleboro largely 46-7. And the other game we wanted to get into detail, we had the 9 seed Brockton Boxers in a heartbreaking defeat, lost to the 8 seed Methuen 37-34. So that was Division 1 last night. There will be plenty of more games that'll be coming up. Catherine, did you have anything you wanted to add to those Division 1 games?
Yeah, I gotta say, like with the Springfield Central and Shrewsbury game, like I said, there was like a lot of shutouts, like
60 points.
Yeah, and including the North Attleboro and Oliver Ames game.
I know.
56-0. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like when I was in high school, like when we would play against Oliver Ames, like they would all be like the good teams. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. Like so, I'm just stunned.
I'm stunned that 56 points and they couldn't muster up 3 points. North Attleboro must have really come up with a good game plan to completely shut them out. 56-0. So as for some of these games that we wanted to get into for the highlights, how are we doing on time?
We have 4 minutes left.
All right, perfect. So for the highlights for Brockton versus Methuen, this game, from various sources, it was described by one word, and that was heartbreaking. Brockton versus Methuen, they were the 9 and 8 seed. They traded punches all game. It was a back-and-forth battle. Exactly with 4 seconds left in the game, Brockton had the option to kick the field goal to send the game into overtime, but head coach Peter Colombo, who we interviewed a couple weeks ago, he's a guy who we said he likes to take risks. He trusts his offense, so they went for it to go for the win, and it ended in a game-losing interception in the end zone by Methuen. So it was a heartbreaking loss. Brockton, rather than tie the game with a field goal, they wanted to go for the win. Peter Colombo said he trusted their 2 most talented players in Cameron Montero and K.O. Usanubi. My apologies for mispronunciations. Montero had 28 quarterback keepers, 28, and he ran for 153 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Osanubi gathered 119 yards himself and 2 touchdowns as well. Montero drove in for a 4-yard score with 41 seconds left at halftime, which gave Brockton a 21-19 lead. But Methuen did not back down. They made a field goal with their kicker, Omar Abaturi, as time expired for halftime, giving them a 22-21 lead at halftime. The once it was after halftime, the Methuen head coach Tom Ryan emphasized that they made adjustments at halftime, saying that Brockton was giving it to them. Even being up by 1 point, he still felt that they could have been doing a lot better. So the same thing happened in the third quarter with 2:12 left. Keo Usanubi ran a 22-yard touchdown, which gave Brockton a 27-22 advantage. But 17 seconds after that celebration, Methuen sophomore running back Shane Eason ran for a 61-yard touchdown, which they then converted a 2-point conversion, which gave Methuen the lead right back at 30-27. During this game, Methuen ran many trick plays. Drew Eason, their quarterback, lateral to senior Jared Rayo. He lateraled right to him, and he got the ball right in. He ran right into the end zone with the blocker lineman, which helped him run right into the end zone. How we doing?
We only got 1 minute left.
So that's what went on with that Brockton game. So it was a crushing defeat, especially considering that nowadays teams are often going for it on fourth down rather than, take the extra 3 points or and it's translated a lot in professional sports too. You see in the NFL nowadays teams are often going for it. But after our first break, I'll get you guys, Catherine and I should say, we'll get you caught up on Peter Colombo's interview post-game. So with that being said, you are listening to 4 Deep Sports Talks, WARA 1320 radio. We will be right back.
Oh, we only got 8 seconds. So
8 seconds.
So if you want to call in, 508-222-1320. That is 508-222-1320. We'll be right back with more right after this. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 4 Deep Sports Talk here at 1320 AM WARA. We are continuing to highlight highlights from Friday night, which was last night, for the final scores of football. So
Friday Night Lights.
Yep. Right.
So as Catherine and I were discussing before the break, we were discussing the 8-seed Brockton in a crushing defeat, losing to the 9-seed Methuen by a score of 37-34. So as we discussed for our before the last break, that Brockton had went for it on fourth down, did not get the points that they wanted to go for the win. It was reported, after the game, Cameron Montero and K.O. Osanubi were interviewed after the game, and they said that they were completely okay with going for it on fourth down, that it's the playoffs, and sometimes you kind of sometimes have to go for it.
Yeah.
So their head coach, Peter Colombo, who, again, we had interviewed a couple weeks prior to it, who felt very good about his football team, especially in the offensive side of the ball, had stated, we gave it a great effort. I know the kids wanted to finish on top. One thing that I've learned in all these years, it's hard to get there. It's not just with football, with all sports. Everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to be the best that they can be with sports, and sometimes it just doesn't go their way no matter how hard you try. Colombo then added, hopefully we can finish up with 2 more wins and cap a great season and win a league championship. That's what we have to think about now. They will be facing the Bridgewater Rainham Trojans in the next couple weeks for their final game of the season, which I believe is their Thanksgiving game. Do you know if that will be their game?
What?
Bridgewater Rainham versus Brockton. Do you know if that's their Thanksgiving game or not? We're not 100% sure.
I'm not sure.
Colombo also added, when he was asked about the decision at the end of the game, he stated, I thought it was going to work out with us, getting the ball last, but we ran out of space, and that's sometimes what happens. When he was asked about Cam and KO, arguably their 2 most talented and gifted players, he stated, they're 2 phenomenal athletes. They make us and the entire team better. You saw the plays they made all year, and I just feel really bad. So, yeah, it was a crushing defeat. No one wants to lose, especially in that fashion with the game-ending interception when they could have gone for the 3 to make it an overtime game. But it is what it is. So the other game that we wanted to address and go over was Taunton versus Everett. So this, Catherine, did you have any details for that game?
I actually do not have any.
That's all right. So for Taunton versus Everett, so we had Taunton, they were 5 and yes, I think they were 5-3. Let me just make sure. Taunton was 5-3 and Everett was 7-1, which is interesting considering that Everett was the 11 seed and Taunton was the 6 seed, even though Taunton had a worse record. So a little confusing on that part. But Taunton versus Everett. Taunton's strength for the entire season, for their football season, was their running game. Especially nowadays with high school football, teams elect to run the ball more often. They want to get more easy yardage rather than throw the ball. But Everett said no. They said no. For a majority of the game, Taunton was stuffed at the line for most of the game from their running game. Everett game planned beautifully. According to the Taunton Daily Gazette, they game planned it beautifully. And they forced 3 turnovers in the game, Everett did. Their Taunton High's head coach, Brad Sidwell, was interviewed after the game. He said, quote, I thought our kids fought hard. We played okay defensively, but offensively we just weren't there. We were pretty awful. We turned the ball over way too much, and every time where we got into a situation to gain momentum, when we could advance, we just couldn't capitalize or quite do it. Especially when you're in a game like that where you're turning the ball over, it's crucial to gain some momentum.
Oh, yeah.
Everett's quarterback had himself a game. His name is Kamari Ellerby. Again, apologies for the mispronunciations. He was 5 for 9 passing for 97 yards. He had 1 passing touchdown.
And he rushed for 2 touchdowns, and he connected with I can't even pronounce the name.
That's okay. He also added 191 yards on the ground from running on just 14 carries, which Catherine said had 2 rushing touchdowns. The Tigers for Taunton, their senior quarterback Jacob Leonard went 14 for 25. He threw for 128 yards and a touchdown, but he also had a lost fumble and 2 interceptions, one being a pick 6. The Tigers running back Malachi Johnson, he had 15 attempts on 105 yards with a rushing touchdown. And Taunton's wide receiver Demetrius Shirian, he had 5 catches for 57 yards and a touchdown. The Taunton High's coach, Brad Sibwell, was also interviewed a little more, stating that Everett stayed on defense. They were stifling, and we couldn't move the ball. When we had a chance to, we made a couple plays, and we tried to run the ball, and they stuffed us pretty good. So especially in games where you can't even move the ball, it gets a really tough time to win.
Yeah, especially like when you're playing against like a really good team. Like they're actually a really good team.
I know.
Like the better team that actually played well against the other.
Yeah, and even though Everett was the 11 seed, they only lost 1 game. So
yeah,
you shouldn't treat them as so much as a seed, but more as just they only had 1 loss.
Yeah.
Did you have any other Division I highlights for any other Division I games?
All right, so we already went over the Brockton.
Yeah, Brockton versus Methuen. So, Taunton, it was Oh, you do?
Well, actually, Division 3. Never mind.
Oh, that was Division 3. We get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, it was a crushing defeat for both Taunton and Brockton. So, for the Division I bracket, because of Franklin's victory, they will now be facing the 9-seed Methuen. The 4-seed Springfield Central will be facing the 5-seed Severian, so that'll be a very close game, a 4 and 5 seed. The 2-seed Andover will be facing the 7-seed St. John's Prep, and then 3-seed Central Catholic will be facing the 11-seed Everett. So Everett punched themselves a ticket to advance to the next round, and they'll be facing the 3-seed Central Catholic. So that'll be an interesting game, considering that Central Catholic only lost 2 games as opposed to Everett's 1. So that'll be an interesting game, considering that.
Yeah, especially they both had blowout wins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Everett will be put to the test, especially with Central Catholic putting up 46 points, as not like last night where they only gave up 14 to Taunton. How are we doing on time?
We have 3 minutes and 9 seconds.
All right, perfect. So
we'll go on to Division 2?
Yeah. Did you want to get Division 2 scores?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so in the first round, we have number 1 Milford beating number 16 Concord Carlisle with a score of 42-13. And we have number 8 Mansfield beating number 9 Wellesley 42-26. We have number 4 Catholic Memorial beating number 13 Bridgewater Raynham 41-14. And Chelmsford beats number 12 Hingham 30-19. Wow, and number 2 King Philip beats number 15 Westford with a big blowout of 49-6.
Yikes.
Yeah, I know. And Marshfield beats Woburn with a score of 48-20. And Bishop Feion beats number 3 Peabody.
Upset alert.
49-28. Oh, yeah, because they were number 3 in the division. And Reading beats number 11 Leominster 51-44.
Right. Oh, that's a really high-scoring game. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
51-44. Wow. And you got Mansfield versus Wellesley. Yep, we said was 42-26. Do we have who they'll be facing for next round?
For Mansfield, they'll be facing Milford. Number 1 Milford. We'll see how that game will go. And And Catholic Memorial will be facing Chelmsford in the quarterfinals.
So the winners of those two games will be facing each other.
Yes. And King Philip will be facing Marshfield. And Bishop Feion will be facing Reading. And all that will be in the next round.
Perfect. So, the winner of KP and Marshfield will be facing the winners of Bishop Feion and Reading. So that'll be interesting. And then the winners of those games, they'll be facing the winners of the previous ones. So we have a lot more to cover in the following couple of weeks.
Yeah. We have 38 seconds left, so.
All right, perfect. So Division 2, again, we see a lot more blowouts, not many close games. I think the closest game we have that we saw last night was Mansfield and Wellesley. That was 16 point. Actually, no, my mistake. That would actually be Chelmsford and Hingham. It was a 30-19 score. So on that note, when we come back, we'll be getting into Division 3 football. You are listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk on WARA 1320 radio. We will be right back after these messages. If you want to call in, please give us a call.
508-222-1320. We will be right back.
And we are back. You were listening to 1320 AM WARA 4 Deep Sports Talk with your board operator, Catherine Conley,
a.k.a. KC.
A.k.a. KC, and Joe Celia, a.k.a. me. So it was just a small group today, just Catherine and I, our sports master, Justin, Lucy Cabral, and Dom Damiano couldn't make it today, but hopefully we'll see them sometime next week or the following week, depending on the holiday. So Catherine and I were discussing high school football from Massachusetts, high school football. We had a lot of Friday night games that were played last night. And it's getting close to playoff time, especially in the nice weather. I'm sure the teams took full advantage of the nice weather. So if we are ready, we can get into Division 3. We just went over Division 1 and Division 2. It is now time for Division 3 football.
All right, so I'll just get the music going.
Perfect. And you have scores for Division 3?
Yes, I do.
Perfect.
So in the excuse me. So in the first round, we have number 1 Milton beating number 16 Minnetonka.
Minnetonka, I think, whatever it is.
46-21.
Wow.
And Marblehead, number 8 Marblehead, beats number 9 Whitman Hanson, 35-0.
Oh, another shutout.
Oh, yeah. And number 4 Hanover beats number 13 Westwood, 42-7. And number 5 Walpole beats number 12 Somerset Berkeley with 42-14.
Wow.
So I actually have one highlight with
perfect.
Corey Kilroy ran for a 60-yard touchdown to get the first score of the game, and he also threw 2 touchdown passes as well.
Oh, so that must their quarterback. Oh wow, and that was for Walpole.
Yes.
Oh wow. We love ourselves some running quarterbacks nowadays.
Oh yeah. And number 2 North Attleboro beats number 15 Oliver Ames, 56-0.
Yeah, that's crazy. We had mentioned that earlier before.
Yes.
Oh.
And Billerica beats number 10 Westfield, 42-14.
Wow.
Number 3 Plymouth South beats number 14 Revere, 28-6. And number 6 Wakefield beats number 11
I think it's Masconomet.
Masconomet.
Yeah.
Yeah, 21-12.
Wow.
In the quarterfinals, Milton will be taking on Marblehead. Hanover will be taking on Walpole. North Attleboro will be taking on Billerica. And Plymouth South will be taking on Wakefield. So that's the games of Division 3 so far.
So we have Divisions 1 through 8 will be facing, so no upsets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So, as Catherine mentioned, the winner of the Milton versus Marblehead game will be facing the winner of Hanover and Walpole. And the North Attleboro versus Billerica, they will be facing the winners of Plymouth South and Wakefield. And the winners of those games will then be facing the winners of the other game. So, when we looked at some of these games, again, a couple blowouts. This was a little bit closer than the previous Division 2. That being Wakefield versus Masconomet, 21-12. I mean that's a good game. Not a whole lot of offense is what it sounded like. Not a lot of scoring, so it must have been a very defensive game. But 35-0 to Marblehead versus Whitman Hanson. So we had 2 shutouts actually in this round. So Plymouth South versus Revere, that was one that I actually wanted to get into a little bit. So Plymouth South defeated Revere by a score of 28-6. Plymouth South, I believe, was 6-2 on the season. Revere was, I think, 6-2 as well. So Plymouth South versus Revere, they got the W, but their coach, Darren Fruzetti, still expects better. So I guess that's a good sign, considering that even though you win 28-6, your coach still expects better from you. So
oh yeah.
So there's always room for an improvement, no matter what it is or in what sport.
Yeah.
Fruzetti was interviewed after the game. He stated that we've got to clean up on a lot of things this week in practice. There were too many missed assignments, too many fumbled handoffs, and they need much cleaner execution. So it sure sounded like in that game, Plymouth South's offense might have been a little shaky. Missing handoffs is never a good thing, even if you end up getting the ball back. You want to be as clean and as proper as possible in these games.
Oh, yeah.
They're facing Wakefield next week, and Fruzetti stated, if we make those same mistakes versus Wakefield, we are probably going home. Wakefield is a very good team and not to be taken lightly. Defensively, Plymouth South was superb. They refused to give up any big chunk plays for the rest of the game. They had themselves 3 interceptions, 2 by Liam Davis and 1 by Justin LaChance. So Revere really got themselves into a pickle with their turnovers on last night. Quoted by Fruzetti again, the defense has carried us all season long, and they did it again tonight. We needed them to step up in the second half to close things out, and they came up big like they always do. After the first quarter, the score is actually 7-6, so it was kind of a close game after the first quarter. But despite the defensive game, they lost their impact defensive end, Heath McGilvery, and then their run stuffing, defensive tackle, Alexander Kavanaugh, both to injury. So wishing them both a speedy recovery and that they can be available for next week's game. Along with the 3 interceptions, their defense also had a muffed punt, which set them up with an easy field position at the 47-yard line. 3 plays later, their freshman Gio Rubero had a 13-yard rushing touchdown. So that was 3 plays later after the muffed punt by Revere. So yeah, Revere must have made themselves a lot of mistakes last night and handed Plymouth South a lot of these points. Their quarterback Cassius Johnson,
I think so, yeah.
had a touchdown in the game to Jamie Andrews, and then 1 rushing touchdown of his own, and he had 105 yards on the ground from running. So again, these running quarterbacks, it's the new breed nowadays. Did you have anything to add for any of these games for D3?
Actually, I do not.
That's all right.
I was actually looking at these highlights. I just didn't know if you already mentioned them already.
Which highlights were they?
Like the first quarter, Gio Rubiero had a 12-yard touchdown run.
Yep. So yeah, and especially nowadays within high school football, you want to run the ball, and even having the athletic quarterbacks, the dual threats, especially if you can't beat them by throwing the ball, sometimes you'd have to beat them with running the ball, depending on what the circumstance might be. So how are we doing on
We have 3 minutes left.
All right, perfect. So up next we have Division 4 football. So did you have those scores?
Yes, I do.
All right, perfect.
Give me 1 second.
Division 4, by the looks of a couple of these games, we see a couple close games. Not a lot, but we do see a couple.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm in Division 4 now.
All right, perfect.
All right, so it's 2 minutes, 30 seconds left before our break. So, number 1, Duxbury beats number 16, Newburyport, 50-10.
50 points, wow.
Yeah. Number 8, Middleborough beats number 9, East Longmeadow, 35-0. And Holliston, number 4, Holliston beats number 13, Melrose, 25-14. Number 5, Situate beats number 12, Northampton, 35-6. Excuse me. And number 2, Grafton beats number 15, Falmouth, 31-0. And number 10, Marlborough beats number 7, Tewksbury, 23-13.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Bedford beats number 14, Worcester South, 36-6. And number 6, Foxborough beats number 11, Pembroke, with the score, a 3-point score of 24-21. In the quarterfinals, Duxbury will be taking on Middleborough, Holliston will be taking on Situate, Grafton will be taking on Marlborough, and Bedford will be taking on Foxborough. Those game days and times are to be determined.
And we can see from, Holliston and Situate, we still don't have the details yet. The same goes for Bedford and Foxborough. We do have Grafton and Marlborough. That'll be on November 11th at 6 p.m. And same goes for Duxbury and Middleborough. That'll be next Friday at 7 p.m. How are we doing on time?
We have 47 seconds left.
So, yeah, we've been going over Divisions 1, 2, 3, and 4. When we come up after the break, we will be discussing one of the games from Division 4 last night, a couple highlights. Just quickly, just looking over these games, we have a couple undefeated teams in Duxbury and Grafton who both advanced last night. So we're hoping for them to face each other for D4 in the playoffs. So without further ado, you are listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk on WARA 1320 AM. Please give us a call at, you know the number.
508-222-1320. We will be right back with more right after these messages.
You are listening to, well, first of all, welcome back. You are listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk on WARA 1320 AM with your board operator for today, Catherine Conley, a.k.a. KC, and me, Joe Celia. I need to come up with an own nickname of myself. Maybe I can do JC.
Oh, I like that.
JC, KC. And we have the Sports Master, Dom, and Lucy. We should all give each other nicknames sooner than later.
Yeah, shout out to my friend Jamie Cromitos. She's known as JC too.
Oh, there you go. So we've been going over Divisions 1, 2, 3, 4 for high school football for Massachusetts. It's playoff time. Everyone loves themselves some playoff football. And as for that, one of the games we wanted to get into for Division 4, it was Pembroke was facing Foxborough last night. And just a quick little rundown of that game last night. It was quoted, "Do not judge the Pembroke High School football team just by its record," who finished 3-6 on the season, so did not even make it to 500, so only mustered 3 wins. And yet they beat Foxborough in the Division 4 action 24 to, right? I think that's what it was. Just give us a sec. Yeah. So, in the game, Foxborough was, quote, give Foxborough credit. This is our first time in the tournament in a while, so we're battling, said the Pembroke coach Steve Aborn. Our kids fought. We game planned well. They knew what we wanted to do, and they just played well. It was quoted, just like much of the Titan season, there was never a dull moment in Friday's game, which featured 5 lead changes. So we love ourselves some 5 lead changes rather than just complete blowouts, like the 56-0 or the 35-0, what we heard today,
yeah.
or even the 60-14.
Yeah.
The Titans found themselves down 17-14 at halftime, but the seniors for the Titans did what they have always done all season and let it all out on the field, and that's all you can ask for. Especially Steve Johnson. He finished with a touchdown, over 100 yards receiving, an interception, a fumble recovery, and 6 tackles. So talk about really putting it all on the field, doing all that. I mean, getting a touchdown, 100 yards receiving, an interception, a fumble recovery, and 6 tackles. That's literally doing everything you can on the field. In the second quarter, Jake Falco and Johnson connected on a back-to-back plays on a 30-yard pass and then a 59-yard yarder down the sideline to take the lead at 14-10. It was unbelievable, said Aborn of Johnson's play, their coach. He got us a touchdown by himself, and honestly, Jake Falco played great too. Our quarterback, he stuck the ball on him. Falco, who was the senior captain, finished the game with 2 touchdown throws. Their other senior, Jack Tassone, finished with over 100 yards rushing, and his own 70-yard touchdown run up the middle in the third quarter of his own. And then senior Nate Tassone, the WPI Institute commit, also finished with an interception. So Foxborough took the lead with just a minute 35 left remaining. The Warriors drove 48 yards without a timeout, and sophomore Mike Marsuela capped the drive with the winning touchdown pass to freshman Rashawn Lewis. That put Foxborough up 24-21. We couldn't have played any harder, said Aborn. We had some breakdowns that cost us kids, but they fought like crazy against a very good Foxborough team. We made some adjustments at halftime, and it worked a little bit, but we were also down 2 kids. Jack was hurt, Jack Tassone, and then we lost Brendan Kanya at halftime, our second-string guy. So just by the way it sounded, we love ourselves some close football games. You know, blowouts, they can be fun, but after a while, it gets kind of old at that point. So, Catherine, did you want to get Division 5 results from last night?
Yes, I do. So going to Division 5.
So Division 5, these are one of our what they consider small school divisions in Massachusetts.
So number 1 Hudson beats number 16 Swampscott 41-17, and number 8 Dover Sherborne beats number 9 Watertown 28-14. Number 4 Shawsheen beats number 13 Worcester Tech 20-6, and number 5 Old Rochester beats number 12 Fairhaven. Old Rochester 47, Fairhaven 19. Number 2 North Reading beats number 15 Dedham 50-18. Number 7 Apponequet beats number 10 Triton 41-13. And number 3 Maynard/AMSA. I assume they're like a co-op school.
Must be.
Never heard of the AMSA. And they beat number 14 Bishop Stang 41-13. And number 6 Bishop Fenwick beats number 11 Auburn 42-6. And in the quarterfinals, Hudson will be taking on Dover Sherborne. Shawsheen will be taking on Old Rochester. North Reading will be taking on Apponequet. And Maynard/AMSA will be taking on Bishop Fenwick. Those games are will in
Looks
times
like
will
it's
be
to be decided.
to be determined.
We will
and,
get you. We will get you caught up on the 4D Sports Talk Facebook and website and Twitter page when we get details of these games. So just real quickly, just looking at these scores, not a lot of close games. I mean, this was also to be expected, especially in the first round, because it may not be as competitive considering like a 1 seed is facing a 16 seed. If it was like a 1 seed facing like a 4, then it would be a lot closer. They'd be a lot more competitive. The next round, we should be expecting a lot closer games, like 24-20, 27-26, games like that. Yeah, not a lot of close games. I think the closest game that I'm just seeing real quick was 28-14, Dover Sherborne to Watertown. Up next, we have Division 6 football. I can do half, and Catherine, if you want to do the other half, we can do that.
Yeah, sure.
So just a quick glance for football Division 6 for high school. We have number 1 Stoneham defeating Assabet Valley RVT by a score of 40-8. Sandwich versus Oakmont. Sandwich defeated Oakmont by a score of 25-22.
Actually, it's Oakmont that beat Sandwich.
Oakmont to beat. Oh, my mistake. Up next, we have Cardinal Spellman defeating Winthrop by a score of 21-8.
And I can see here number 12 Arlington Catholic versus number 5 Blackstone Valley. They don't have the scores on here yet, so I assume they didn't.
Yeah, they're literally playing in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
As we speak. So good luck to both of those teams.
The winner of that game will be taking on Cardinal Spellman.
All right, so yeah, Blackstone Valley versus Arlington will be facing Spellman. And then the second half, you have them.
Oh, yeah, so number 2 Rockland beats number 15 Seekonk 48-22. Number 7 Abington beats number 10 East Bridgewater 24-6. And number 3 St. Mary's beats Archbishop Williams 37-13. And number 6 Linfield beats number 11 Bellingham 38-7. And Stoneham will be taking on Oakmont. And Cardinal Spellman will be taking on the winner of the Blackstone Valley and Arlington Catholic game. And Rockland will be taking on Abington. And St. Mary's will be taking on Linfield. Those times will be determined.
Yeah, we see next Friday we'll be having St. Mary's versus Linfield. I think that's the only one we have so far. You can also find a couple of these scores and brackets on the MIAA.net website. And then our last division, we have Division 7 football. Let's just pull up these scores real quick. Actually, no, we have 2 more divisions, to 7 and 8. So real quick, we have West Boylston defeating Boston Tech Academy by a score of 49-0. Another blowout. We have number 8 Waconia Regional defeating West Bridgewater by a score of 35-15. Amesbury defeating Boston Latin Academy by a score of 24-6. And we have 5 seed Millbury defeating Northbridge by a score of 49-7. On the other side, we have 2 seed Cohasset defeating Drury by a score of 41-15.
What division are you in?
Division 7.
Oh, Division 7. Oh.
And then we have the 7 seed Clinton defeating Ayer Shirley by a score of 35-31. So that's a pretty close game right there. The 3 seed St. Bernard's defeating Mashpee by a score of 42-12. And Uxbridge versus Lunenburg will be being played today at 2:45. The winner of that game will be facing St. Bernard's. So Cohasset will be facing Clinton on the 10th. And then we have West Boylston will be facing Waconia Regional. And then Amesbury will be facing Millbury. And then we will go to Division 8. Division 8, so we have the real small schools. We have Hull defeating Narragansett by a score of 42-7. We have Cathedral defeating Neshoba Valley Tech 43-7. We have Manchester Essex defeating Quaboag 36-25. And then we have Old Colony defeating Ware 22-15. Hull will be facing Cathedral, and Manchester Essex will be facing Old Colony. In the other side of the conference, Lowell Catholic will be facing Millis at 5 p.m. today. We have KIPP Academy will be facing Lee at 1 p.m. And then we have Oxford defeating Taconic 33-0. And then 6 seed Brighton will defeated Murdoch 36-6. So 2 blowouts right there. Oxford will be facing Murdoch, and the winner of KIPP and Lee will be facing the winner of Lowell Catholic and Millis. So that was Divisions 1 through 8 for football. How are we doing on time?
We actually have to get off the air right now. It's
all right.
12:59.
All right. So thank you for listening to us blabber on about football. We hope to hear from you guys. Any callers sometime for next week. Please give us a follow on 40 Sports Talk Facebook and Instagram, Twitter pages. You are listening to WARA 1320 Radio, 40 Sports Talk. I am Joseph Celia, and we have
Catherine Conley, a.k.a. KC. We will see you next time on 40 Sports Talk.
Thank you.